So hey guys, today we're going to be talking about card rarity. So this might not seem like super obvious at first, but let's go with Malice, I guess. So in terms of the Malice cards, we can look at the distribution here of all of these cards, and we can take note of a few things. So in terms of card rarity, the only normals and rares that we have in Malice, for example, will be specifically the back row, and you don't really see the back row that much. So not really a big deal. But if you look at all of these cards, so you might be thinking these cards are all kind of high rarity, right? So that is correct, but here's another thing to note about these cards. All of these cards will be visible, usually. So Malice in the Mirror, not as much. It's kind of like iffy on this one, but Malice in Underground, that's a field spell. That'll be face up most of the time, right? And then we have March Hare, that's like one of your main deck monsters. This can be on the field sometimes, right? Dormouse, Jessie Cat, White Rabbit, Red Ransom, White Binder, Hard Scripter. So another statement we could say about Malice is actually that all of your main pieces can be royaled. So SR cards can be royaled, and then UR cards can also be royal. So every single one of these cards can be a royal card. And I guess that technically includes Malice in the Mirror, but it's like, who really cares about like a royal Malice in the Mirror? But yeah, all these cards can be royal. And well, what does that mean? Well, that means there are people that are going to be willing to whale for these cards. And if you think about it, the best cards to actually make URs are going to be cards that you need a lot of for whatever reason. So in this case, if we cut down on these, so a single copy of Heart Scripter, not a big deal. 3 White Rabbit, 3 Dormouse, 3 March Hare. These are all cards you would want to play as 3 ofs, worth mentioning. So in short, I guess one way to look at it is that it is for profit that they're making all of these cards kind of URs, right? So if we did want to craft all of these, this would be 12 multiplied by 30. And then if we actually also want to throw in the Heart Scripter here, that would be 13 multiplied by 30. So that's per crafting points. 30 crafting points per card, 390 UR dust to fully make Malice Core, and then everything else besides UR dust, it doesn't really matter. Like you can see I have 90,000 rare dust here, and then SR dust we have 3.5k. So if I were to craft all of these, like every single Malice card I would need, that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. These are all like one-ofs basically at this point. That's only 120, barely a dent right here. And I'll tell you what, my crafting points, it might look like I have a lot, but I actually have more in the bank because I still haven't decrafted all my cards, because I really don't need to, because I haven't even used what I have at the moment, right? So yeah, if we think in terms of just like the casual player, like crafting all this stuff, that kind of sucks a little bit. But at the same time, like where are we actually making all of our money? So if you're just able to, like me, craft all of these cards like at the drop of a hat, like I can still do so right now and it would not affect me too much. It doesn't really matter. Where the money at is with the royal hunters. So anyone who wants to like royal the whole deck, that's where you make the money, because every single UR card in this deck, I don't remember how much it costs for a royal, so let's just real quick check what royals I have. And let me think about this for a second. A royal is like approximately 1 in 100, and you average like 2 URs per pack. And then like those URs are split up even further, because you're not guaranteed to get the card you want, let alone like the card you want royaled. And then selection packs last a limited amount of time. That there's the highest odds to technically get a royal from the pack, because they're guaranteed to, or a UR from the pack, Whereas like if you pull from Master Pack, it's like left side is going to be Master Pack, right side is going to be Secret Pack. So the math on this, like average of 2 URs, I would say per 10 pull. So that's like per 1,000 gems. And then let's just assume, like I don't remember how much it costs, but we'll just say $10 per 1,000 gems. So if we did 10 pulls, that'd be, let's say 100. It's not. It's actually, if I recall correctly, it's like 5,000. I think it was like 5,000 gems was actually like 100 USD or something. But we're going to just go work off these numbers and say like, if we do $100 worth of pulls, that'll give us 10 pulls, which is 20 URs on average. So then we need to do this essentially 5 times for 1 royal, in theory, right? And this is just kind of maybe on average around this much with these numbers, which are not fully correct. It's actually more expensive than this. But yeah, let's say we drop 500, because you're not really going to be making most of your money off of players that are actually just crafting just a normal deck build, right? That's not going to matter. So in terms of like the royals I had, I don't think I had like anything relevant or any of the most recent archetypes. This is like a sprite starter. Ugh. That's old. Anyway, we have how many cards we need to royal here? 13. So for the price of like $500, this is what we would expect to get 1 royal. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards here. So I think just at this point, let's assume for $500 we will be getting a royal. Okay, so that's going to be the assumption here, but there's only a 50% chance it will at this moment be a Malice, just a Malice royal, because like half of the selection pack, at least, there should be around, I think, like 13-ish UR cards in any given selection pack. So assuming we do want all of these to be royaled, this is going to, well, be pretty insanely expensive. So at this point in time, we'll assume like we're just him, okay? We're lucky, so enough. So on average, maybe we'll get 1 Malice card royaled per 1,000. And we're really lucky in the sense that we don't get multiple like royal heart scripters. And the SRs, I think, are pretty free. When you're dealing with numbers this big with all of the SRs, you're going to be you get like a lot more SRs and stuff. So we'll probably have our SRs royaled in the process. So don't need to account for that. But yeah. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. So it'll cost $1,000 per card, and we're going to assume we get no dupes, but you're very likely to get like dupes or not get the royal you want. But in theory, we're spending like, this would be considered relatively lucky, $13,000 for a full like Malice score, basically a royal Malice score, about 13,000. That's if you're lucky. So realistically, considering the gem prices and stuff, this could cost you technically around, let's say, 26,000 USD, or even double that, going to like 42k, I guess, like anywhere within that range. And I mean, luck is also a factor, of course, like getting extra royals, not getting royals at all, like lots of things to consider. So we can just say in general it'll cost like, we can throw an estimate and say it costs like maybe 50k to fully royal out just Malice, right? And if we were to do this, that's 50k, okay? And let's say roughly 10 people out of our entire Master Duel player base does this, that's like 500 grand, you know? That's like $500,000 off of people just trying to royal, right? If we do some math and think about it in terms of like how much this will actually cost you to like make as a regular player, like the deck, it's actually not that bad. So you actually get around 10,000 gems just by playing the game in general. And then you probably have some crafting points. I mean, the math's like a little bit complicated, but in general, you can expect to, I'd say, pull about like if you spent full 10 grand gems on this, we'd probably pull about, I'd say, half of a Malice core. I mean, if you're unlucky, you'll end up like me and pull like multiple Heart Scriptor and such. But for the most part, we can expect to have pulled like half a Malice core, and then we can craft the other half. That's typically how it goes. And you'll also pull like other cards as well that you might not want. So let's say in this selection, there's also I don't know, like what was the other archetype in this? I genuinely don't remember. I don't know, let's say it's like Ryzeal and you don't want to play Ryzeal. So you end up pulling some copies of like Go Drive, Detonator, X Ryzeal, whatever, you decraft these. So if you have about half here, that will give you, I think, 3 crafts. So with well, it depends on like pull luck somewhat, but with just the 10k gems, that's most of the core complete. So I think that gets you 8 cards, and then you have to fund like 120 UR dust yourself, maybe around there somewhere. With 10k gems, I mean, that's around the expectation or what I would expect. So in theory, like how much would this have actually costed you to pull? $0. Yeah, pretty free to play friendly here. But like, let's assume we're actually a new player and we just started out and we want to just build Malice immediately and we're just pulling. So in this case, for like, well, if there's no package or anything, I think it would be like around maybe 200 USD to get the 10,000 gems you would need to kind of like pull on Malice. Like assuming for whatever reason you have absolutely no gems. I mean, they do like giving you some free gems on start and like some dust and whatnot. But we're going to assume for some reason, maybe you're a returning player and you already used up the free gems and you came back later and you want to play Malice on your account. Then I guess it would make sense why you don't have that free stuff. But okay, you drop like maybe around $200, and that's how much it costs to, I believe, buy like 10,000 gems. So same boat really. You just drop $200, and let's say we have 100 people. Actually, no, wait, yeah, 100 people do this, and they drop like 200 dolans for Malice. In this case, how much is this? 200. It's 20,000. The total here is not even equivalent to a single whale. Yeah. So assuming like we have literally 100 people dropping $200, it's only 20k, right? So a single guy trying to royal this entire deck, that's 500 grand, bro. Essentially, like, yeah, we're just targeting people that want to royal collect. That's basically why a lot of certain like what you might consider like high-end decks or certain meta decks, I guess, have a lot of URs. It's targeting the royal hunters because that makes them the most money logically, right? If we plug in the math, and you know, the funny thing is, even if we went from 100 players paying 200 to 1,000, that's still less. Crazy enough, right? And what if the amount of royal collectors or people trying to royal out Malice in this case was actually not 10 but 100 people? Then we have to drop another 0 on this, and this becomes 5 mil, and this number only goes up to like 200k still. So yeah, this is probably the reason why a lot of these archetypes are going to just be, well, a lot of the quote-unquote meta stuff is going to be very UR heavy and have a lot of URs. Partially because, you know, they want people to want to royal their deck. And if they do want to roll the deck because it's like a good deck, a deck they like, whatever, it's going to cost them like an arm and a leg and like probably a head also. But yeah, it's going to cost a lot. And for every single card, I believe with our math, it was like for Royal, it costs like maybe 1K per copy of card. So technically, like if we have an additional 3 of, that's like another 3K plus of like profit technically, or just like uh, uh, an additional 3K expense, I guess, to royal a card. But technically, with every single additional royal, you can still get like duplicate royals, and then you would still need like a certain royal to complete your collection. So the amount of cost that we could have from roiling could be even higher, and it becomes like potentially even more disgusting per card. Like if there were only 3 cards to royal in a deck, it would not be that difficult. Well, it becomes a little bit more complicated because you also have to include like crafting as well, because when you're like pulling like this absurd amount, you end up with like a lot of crafting points because you have a lot of cards to dismantle. And then with those dismantled cards, you're recrafting the cards and then you're dismantling them. So that becomes like a little bit well, it makes the math like a little bit more complicated, but we'll just use these numbers for now, right? So we can expect essentially though, like the more URs here, the harder it is to fully royal out the whole deck, and therefore the more money that you would need to spend to royal the whole deck. So that's literally the only reason that well, I think we're getting more and more royals for like selection, or just in general, like why certain archetypes are this UR heavy. Speaking of which, I'm pretty sure like literally all of these cards are 3-0s. So if you were to want to royal like everything here, that's pretty brutal. But that's not necessarily the most brutal deck, I don't think, right? Real quick, let's check Snake Eye when it was first released. If you want to royal the whole thing here, was this that bad? 3, 1. This is not that bad. You need like 2 Poplar. Snake Eye Diabellstar wasn't released yet, so we don't have to count that. But then we have Diabellstar plus Bonfire. So 3. And then this technically could be a 3 of as well. This was definitely a 3 of, so that's 12 copies. And then Bonfire, 3 copies of this as well. So 15. So it's around like 15, 13-ish, usually hanging around there, I suppose. UR cards that they want to hang around like a certain number of URs for like the royal profit reasons, you know? When people are trying to just fully royal out the deck, that's probably where most of the profit comes from. Not so much from like anyone spending like a more, I guess it's just a smaller amount, I guess. So yeah, most of the profit from Master Duel, I can assume, would be from people attempting to royal their decks. And I mean, people buying like bundles for things, and you know, like the gem bundles, I don't think they're going to be making just Master Duel as much money. And I mean, the good thing about this is it's actually not that hard to pull and craft a meta deck as like a free-to-play player either. And I mean, in theory, like they don't really want to make your life harder as a free-to-play player either necessarily. But where are they actually making their money? I mean, aside from Royals, I wouldn't really know where else they would be, because the game is legitimately that free-to-play friendly. So I mean, I guess you can thank the whales for the game being relatively free-to-play friendly, but let's see. I mean, there's the downside that some archetypes, like not all archetypes, because some archetypes, genuinely, I don't think anyone cares about like a few of these archetypes. But a good amount of archetypes will have a lot of high rarity cards, and that's mostly to target the royal hunters and kind of fleece them a little bit. If you're a free-to-play player, it's not like genuinely that bad to just acquire these cards either. I mean, it's like moderate. It kind of like depends on like, well, there's RG as an aspect and all that, but if we do averages and maths, for the most part, like if you save up for the month and do all your dailies and do like the festival or event, you should have close to enough or enough to just build whatever shows up in a selection pack. And even more so because selection packs actually last for 60 days. So the amount of gems you have to actually spend in theory at max is going to be like 20k ish on a selection, because there's going to be another festival. There's usually going to be 2 festivals per selection, and then you have like a month to get all your gems, and then there's like the rank reset and all that. So it's, yeah, I think it's around 20k, maybe a little bit more in terms of gems. So if you didn't pull that well, you could even wait longer to build a deck. I mean, the only downside is like banless, but aside from like banless, if you take too long to build a deck, it's pretty free to play friendly to build that deck. And like the more you save, the easier it will be to build later. Like as you can see, I have like a ton of UR crafting points, and the amount of gems I have, I mean, I'm getting more gems all the time. If I pull on something or not, that kind of depends. But I mean, yeah, the game I feel like isn't really trying to fleece the free-to-play players that hard. They're just really trying to fleece the whales. And I mean, if you are somewhat if you are somewhat caught in the crossfire, then it is what it is. I guess that there's not that much they can do about this, because they do need to make profit somehow, some way. So if you guys have any like suggestions or ideas on what they could do better, I mean, I'm sure like Konami would be like happy to do something better if there was a better option for like everyone involved. But I mean, yeah. Otherwise, this is what the future is going to consistently look like. And they do tend to like, for some archetypes, they're just going to be cheaper than others. So real quick, I want to check like K9 though. How many URs do we need for this? This is on the cheaper side actually, right? 5, 8, and then these 2, 10. So just 10 URs to kind of royal this. And yeah, the SRs genuinely, I don't think matter that much, because of how like how many pulls and such you actually need to do for royals. So yeah, I don't know. So if this would be that impactful, I don't think you necessarily play Hound either. Jax is just cheap to make, or I guess being only a rare, it's not a card you summon that often either. Well, yeah. How many cards do we actually need to pull? So I think within 8k gems, you can pretty easily craft K9, and it's not too expensive, even if we're playing a playset of like a case for K9. But if we were to play the package more minimally, we could do 1 case for K9. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just 8 cards total, 8 URs. And you can expect to pull about half, so you craft 4 cards probably, so that's like maybe, well, it depends on like pull luck and all that, but still on average I think it's like 120 UR crafting dust that you would maybe spend on this. You get some back from like doing your pulls. So outside of the your gem pulls, it's like maybe 60 UR dust to craft like K9 package, and 8k gems probably around there on average. So not too bad. I don't think so, at least. So yeah, that was kind of math, I suppose. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.